Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I am Josh. That is Jason over there. This is the Redpill Project's Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And this is where we bring you the unfolding of the global conspiracy of what's happening in the world on the geopolitical and geoeconomic side to help you prepare for what could potentially be coming. And man, do we have some information for you today. I mean, look, there's not a lot of news happening, but if you look closely, you can see the news happening. And so, it's interesting. It's Tuesday, May 4th, the Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. Kind of a quiet day. The markets took a bit of a tumble. This came on the brink of Janet Yellen, the Secretary of Treasury, calling for an increase in rates due to inflation. And we start seeing the tipping of the economy. We started seeing it yesterday. Yesterday, we started seeing silver skyrocket at the calls in Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett came out and said he sees inflation. Be prepared. And today, Janet Yellen kind of confirmed that, and the market responded. Yesterday, we saw silver skyrocket, but then they just infused like 1 million tons or something like that, a few 10,000 tons of silver into SLV, and it brought the price down again, which didn't make any sense because we don't think they actually have it. We think that they're bullshit. This is run by JP Morgan, the I Trust Silver Fund. And so we see massive market manipulation. Jay can agree that the cost of goods and services around the world are increasing massively. And so we're going to talk a little bit about this today and see what we can do to maybe help all of you prepare for these types of events. The first thing that we need to do, though, is good friend of the show here, Jeremy Woodham, is it's his birthday today. So everybody, please go ahead and wish Jeremy a happy birthday. He is out there in the chat. I think he's on the YouTube. But you can do it through all channels because it is interconnected. But happy birthday, Jeremy. I think you're, 29 and a half or somewhere around there? I know. I know how it is. So Tony Longo says, I think Josh is right. The first arrest will be Trump. I have a feeling it is. And so we saw this with Rudy. And this is part of the narrative I think we'll talk about a little bit tonight. I sent a video that I saw of Rudy on Hannity last night. And I want to kind of touch on it a little bit. We're going to get into the financial crisis and what we can do about that. We're going to talk a little bit about China. We're going to talk a little bit about Rudy and Ukraine and Trump and what that means for Trump. We have Trump launching his blog. His social media platform is coming. But we have some interesting things happening with China. And this is crazy in the sense of the global narrative because China controls the WHO. China controls the UN. China's controlling international communities. We have we have EU bowing down to China. But then we get this report today of pull it up. And this was on the brink. High likelihood of war with China. Top Australian general warned in leaked briefing the troops. Now this is no joke. This is one of the U.S.'s major allies. This is a member of the Five Eyes intelligence group, right? And Major General Finlay has since stepped down from his post, but still advises the Australian Defence Force. Reportedly gave the confidential briefing to Australian forces soldiers last year, saying that there's a good chance that we could be at war with China very, very shortly. And this breaks today. On the same day that we get this article from the Washington Times, Xi, this is the Chinese President Xi, claims ultimate authority, adopts Mao's title of helmsman. Now, if that doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what does. I mean, they've already implemented massive constraints on genocide with the Uruguays. Mao was a massive terrorist and committed massive genocide. Up to 120 million people of his own people. All colored people in China were eliminated through genocide during that whole reign of Mao. And now we have Xi standing up and adopts Mao's title of helmsman. And this means that they could potentially be on the forefront of securing China's reign in the global infrastructure, in the global war world. This includes militaristically, economically, and also politically. So this means that China could be making some very big moves And one thing I wanted to point out to you guys, we had the warning about that asteroid. Remember I was talking about that asteroid Apophis the other JJ?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think Apophis is going to come crashing down to Earth, but maybe that was just a warning by some people in the know that can't really release information. But 22-ton Chinese rocket falling back to Earth at about 17,401 miles per hour could potentially crash in the United States. Now, let me ask you this. What better methodology for a false flag? We knew a false flag event would be coming. We knew that most likely this false flag event would be targeting some type of energy grid, infrastructure, nuclear plant, something of that nature that basically takes out infrastructure that suspends government for a while, that does something that creates a major cataclysm. Now, the odds of this thing actually striking land are very unlikely, but now they're starting to say that there's a good potential chance that it strikes somewhere in the United States. Now, I'm going to guess that this Chinese rocket falling back to Earth is not a Chinese rocket, and that this isn't an accident that it's falling back to Earth, and that it's falling potentially in the United States, and that this rocket could potentially be carrying some type of weapon, either biochemical, nuclear, or directed energy. And I'm going to warn you guys right now. We will know very soon if this thing does crash, what it is. But I think that this could be potentially the false flag that we've been hearing about, that we've been waiting for. I think there's a window of about the next 7 days they suspect. But pay attention to this, guys. Pay really close attention. Now, this is quite interesting. I got to go look up something real quick. I got to look up something real quick. Now, what do you think about that, Jay?
I don't know. I just kind of lost a couple heartbeats. At the end of the day, I just want it to be over.
Yeah, I agree.
Basically, I wish the world didn't have to be the way it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's scary as hell, right?
Right.
It really, really is. And
now, so here's one thing I wanted to check out, and I was quite right on it. March 6, 2018. 864 from our good friend Quelle. Wait and see. Reread drops. You have more than you know. Eyes in the sky. Sums of all fear. 19th of April, 2018. EO treason update read. Study the EOs. Follow the pen. EOs post pen pics. Connect. Learn. Sky event. Then we have May 10th. Right in the window of this thing potentially falling to Earth. Okay? There will come a time where we not be safe walking. They would not be safe walking down the streets. Will not be held hostage. Sky event where we go one, we go all Q+. Now this is interesting. I mean, because now we're actually, and yeah, I understand that back in 2018 we had sky events. I think there was actually a satellite that fell from the sky during that point in time. But now look at this. May 10th time frame, we have this sky event where we go one, we go all. We will not be held hostage. Now think about this, if it's relevant. That this rocket potentially falling back down to Earth, right? This rocket potentially falling back down to Earth, it has some type of fuel or whatnot in it that could potentially cause massive explosive damage. I think that this potentially could be their false flag event. And I think we really do need to prepare for it. And this comes on the dawn, not only, of the financial collapse, as we've been talking about it. The call for the raise of interest rates, the visualization of seeing the actual spike in inflation, Warren Buffett coming out and talking about inflation, the market dropping and starting to correct, silver manipulation occurring, gas prices skyrocketing, the supply chain being interrupted and disrupted. There's some interesting things happening right now, and we need to pay very, very, very close attention. Now, moving forward,
Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine earned the company $3.5 billion in the first 3 months.
This is like on autoplay when you go away from it. So now this comes as well, right at the same time, Donald Trump strategically. Jay, how long do you think it takes to put a blog together?
For you, 2 days.
A few fucking hours, maybe.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump finally releases this blog from the desk, right? Today. Right when all this stuff is beginning to happen. Makes also the announcement that this was from... Where is it? Additional information about the not yet launched new social media platform to be released in the very near future, according to Trump advisor Jason Miller. So Trump is supposedly building the social media platform. He's now released his blog, which is now active. And this is a good time to talk about Rudy. Because someone was saying that potentially Trump could be the first arrest, and I agree with this. And the reason I say that is because if you go and listen to Rudy on Hannity last night, Rudy says some very, very important keywords that you have. I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's about a 15-minute long, okay? But, Jay, did you get a chance to listen to that?
I did not, no.
Okay. So to give you an update is Rudy says that he was introduced, all right, to the Ukraine information, the Clintons' dirt on Trump, the server that steal the election 2 years prior to the election by somebody who didn't trust the FBI with the information. 2 years before the election. So 2014, okay? Now see, this doesn't make sense because we know that Christopher Steele was commissioned in early 2016 to bring about the dossier. But Rudy was told by Ukraine in 2014 by somebody who leaked the information to him who didn't trust the FBI, so this assumes that this is somebody in the government. That doesn't make any sense. And he's very adamant that, hey, look, we had the Hunter Biden laptop in 2014. So they have this information in 2014, and he says somebody gave it to him who didn't trust the FBI with it. Now, I wonder who that person is. Because if we follow this narrative, in late 2015, pre-election, pre-Donald Trump, John Solomon and Sarah Carter, which kind of worked closely together, were both visited early morning at night on the weekends after long nights. John Solomon was coming home. Sarah Carter actually said she was coming home. There was a black car parked in front of her mailbox. A gentleman got out, identified himself as somebody from an ABC agency, said, I cannot disclose who I am or anything about that, but he gave her a manila envelope and said, please research this information. It needs to get out. Two gentlemen did the same thing to John Solomon as discussed and as they told. Okay? Now, this same thing happened to Rudy. So we can assume the same thing happened to Donald Trump. Now, what's even more interesting, okay, is Dershowitz was on Fox News the other day, right? Mm-hmm. And he was talking about how the FBI served Rudy Giuliani. Do you know they didn't serve him with a warrant? They served him with a subpoena. Now, what's the difference, right? You got to ask yourself the difference. A warrant means that it's part of a criminal investigation, right? So they go to a federal judge, they go to a warrant. But the subpoena was from a grand jury. And Rudy even says it in the Sean Hannity interview that this was a classified subpoena through a classified investigation into him beginning in late 2018, early 2019. At the exact same time that he started representing Donald Trump, the president. Do you know what it means by the classified or private subpoena? FISA. Jay, it was a FISA warrant that they opened up on Rudy Giuliani. And they went and took everything off of his Apple Drive the day that he started representing Donald Trump. The president. So this means that inadvertently they were spying on the president of the United States through a FISA warrant that was approved by the FISA courts. Now, 2018, we know Rod Rosenstein, all these actors are still in play, But most likely he was referencing that this was from the Mueller investigation. And they had authorized the FISA warrant, most likely under Rod Rosenstein. And you remember, everybody was screaming that they have a FISA warrant. They were spying on Donald Trump. And they were spying on the president. They had politicized, and weaponized the justice system.
Still are.
Massively. So if you go listen to Giuliani, he's laying it all out there. He's saying that we had this information since 2014. They knew it because they were watching us. Not only that, is they reopened a new FISA warrant on us in 2018, the moment I started representing Donald Trump. And he says that, he goes, I was simply investigating the happenings in Ukraine pre-2016, 2 years before the election. What the fuck is Rudy Giuliani doing investigating Biden's ordeals in Ukraine in 2014? Makes no sense.
None at all.
But Rudy Giuliani is also a former federal prosecutor, which can be summoned as a private prosecutor, not a private prosecutor, a special prosecutor, right? Appointed by attorney generals and so forth. Remember, there is rumor that was exactly what happened during March of 2018, and that's why Rudy was collaborating with Ukraine and Chosen and all these people, is because he was appointed special prosecutor. And this was at the time by AG, what's his name? Old dude, white hair. I'm forgetting names now. Former senator. Alabama. Sessions. Yeah, there you go. Sessions. By Sessions. So, but here's the thing is Sessions could have also authorized it as a senator in 2014 as the head of the Senate Intelligence Committee. So there's so many scenarios at play here. As well as if you go back to Sessions and understand the play that I had on him in the sense of the Broken Arrow situation in 2006, 2007, 1996, Bill Clinton, North Korea, that Jeff Sessions was head of the Senate, the Defense Intelligence Committee, the Senate Intelligence Committee. He was a head of the Defense Funding. I forgot the name of it. But he was ahead of all of these. Also the Nuclear Commission. Which means if there was a Broken Arrow situation, he would have been the one who had been called up to investigate it in private at a very highly classified level. And it would have been him and only maybe a handful of people like General Flynn who had known of this investigation. Maybe even Rogers because they were generals and heads of the Intelligence Committee. So we could potentially have seen Rudy Giuliani being a special prosecutor in 2014, and this is what he was hinting towards us, in that as a special prosecutor, they weaponized the DOJ and put a FISA warrant on him, which is highly illegal. So there's a lot of things that could be potentially falling out here, and I think the deep state is getting ready to basically counteract all this stuff as it comes out, because we know that Trump coming out with his blog and the social media network is posturing. The information is about to flow.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a good one. I like when it all flows together.
Yeah, I would agree with you there that it's like Jim Jordan went off the hook today. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
So Jim Jordan's going off the hook. Also another interesting thing that happened is the Texas Dem that called Scott and Oreo resign.
Yep.
So you're seeing these small little victories, but it's at this point, I honestly feel like it's not enough. Now, did you see that Pelosi allocated $1 million for the Courage Museum that lauds Ballsy Ford?
No, I don't even know what that means.
So they're essentially going to make a Courage Museum, and Ballsy Ford is going to be one of the women presented in it.
Who's
and
Ballsy
I was thinking,
Ford?
The woman that said Kavanaugh raped her.
Oh,
yeah.
Ooh.
And I'm thinking to myself, are you effing kidding me? Like, if there's a group of people that ever decide to riot and destroy things, that's probably one of the first things that would be destroyed. Jordan and Biggs demanded answers from Ray on the FISA abuses. And so I don't know if you caught that. Did you catch that?
No, say that again.
Jordan and Biggs demanded answers from Ray on the FISA abuses. And so the Office of Director of the ODNI recently declassified a November 2020 opinion memo raising concerns about the FBI's apparent widespread violations of the FISA Act. And the House Judiciary Ranking Member Jim Jordan and Rep. Andy Biggs from Arizona are demanding the FBI Director Chris Wray answer to the opinion. The two lawmakers sent a letter Tuesday, which also asked Wray why he is reforming the FBI to ensure the process is being used in a constitutional manner.
Interesting.
It is. And so that's why I say we see these small little victories, but are they enough?
Right. Well, it was interesting. So today, House Republican Senate Majority Whip, right, Liz Cheney, comes out against Trump, and the Republican Party came out and smacked her down so much that they're going to vote next week on a vote of non-confidence in her.
Yeah, they're kicking her out of
Goodbye.
GOP.
Yep, goodbye, you fucking neocon.
And maybe the GOP starting to get it. I don't know if you heard, too, that Mitt Romney went on stage and got booed.
Yep. Well, yeah, Trump was talking about it.
Yeah, Trump's blog, he actually says, so nice to see Rhino Mitt Romney booed off the stage of the Utah Republican State Convention.
Yep.
They are among the earliest that figured this guy out. Stone cold loser. I freaking love Trump.
Okay, so we have a lot of interesting things happening here. Did anybody see, because it only trended on Twitter for a little while, it was a few articles, Washington Post and so forth, about how the Arizona recount is fake news and nothing but a publicity stunt by Republicans. Did you see this? They're already setting the narrative to counteract anything that comes out of the recount.
Well, then you got Wisconsin, then you got Michigan, and then you got Virginia.
Now, did you see this video floating around about Michigan?
No.
So this was a podcast, and they had the cybersecurity expert on there, and they basically had one of these Dominion voting machines, and they mimicked a voting machine, and they had a tabulation that has basically the same SQL server that Dominion uses. And they went in there and they just ran a few easy scripts, like just went in there, boom, 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 added some scripts, and it was just flipping votes. People were like, oh, inconclusive evidence, Actually, guys, this wasn't showing anything about the actual Dominion voting machines. It wasn't actual ballots being used in this. This is just a scenario to show that this can happen. But we know that this was what happened. So hopefully that Mike Lindell and the team that he spent a lot of money on, this supposedly secret tech team from the NSA, can come out and break this. And I have a feeling that a lot of this news is going to be breaking around the same time as the riots break, because that's as planned. Now, I was just talking about this rocket falling back to Earth, right? We've been talking.
No, why?
Go ahead.
Out of curiosity, why is it taking so long? I mean, it just sounds like this thing's like fluttering.
I know. Actually, Jay,
how many times have we seen rockets launched that just come crashing down within seconds, right?
So for somebody who dabbles a little bit in this information, I don't know. I haven't looked at the launch trajectory. I haven't looked at the launch window, where it's at and the orbital velocity. If it's spinning around the Earth at 17,500 miles per hour, that's enough to maintain orbital velocity for a certain amount with a certain degradation of its orbit every day. You could potentially see that thing, 4 or 5 day window, right? Because think about this, is it's not falling straight down, it's falling down in a circle, right? And so you have the gravitational tug at its current height, right? So let's say it's at 330 nautical miles up, and the gravitational force there is about 7.25 meters per second squared. That's pulling on the mass of the rocket, which is quite heavy, but it's traveling at 17,500 miles per hour, which has centrifugal force, right? So your centrifugal force is actually pushing you outward, while gravitational force is pushing you inward. And so this is how we maintain orbital velocity, is if I have a centrifugal velocity, angular momentum, right? If you take a rope and you put an object at the end of the rope and you spin it, that object is pushed outward, right? But there's also an object pulling it in. That's gravity. And so what keeps that rope and that object there is the equivalence of the amount of force pulling and the equivalence of the amount of angular momentum outward, right? So you have two forces at play which cause this angular momentum, this inertia in this direction. So that's kind of how an object would maintain its orbit. And so that force is most likely a little less than equal, which means that the gravitational tug is a little bit more than the angular momentum can actually have. So it means it's degrading, its velocity is decreasing over time due to this gravitational tug, which means that its orbit would degrade slowly over time. So it's about a 4 to 5 day window. That's most likely the physics behind it. It would make sense that it just falls back down to Earth, but that's just not how it actually happens. Nothing falls down to Earth because the Earth is rotating at 1,000 miles per hour, and this object's spinning around it at 17,000 miles per hour, right? So it's blah, 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 blah physics, right? So think about this, though. On the same time that we hear that this thing might hit the United States, and I forgot who it was that posted this, but thank you for posting it on the platform. California wireless carriers prepare. California wireless carriers prepare for declared emergency events. The California wireless carriers are dedicated to keeping you, our customers, informed of our events to ensure our networks are functional during state-declared emergency disasters and provide information about measures you can take in anticipation of this type of event. And so this was a notification that went out to a lot of cell phone users today, in the sense of, be prepared for emergencies and declarations of emergencies. I'm telling you guys, something's going to fall from the sky. It might be a Chinese rocket, but I'm telling you, it might be a Chinese weapon. And that's how China does it, okay? They don't bomb the United States. They accidentally bomb the United States. And I'm telling you, this could have severe impact. Pfizer. Ready for this shit? Pfizer earned $3.5 billion on COVID-19 vaccine in the first quarter. So what you have to understand is that 3.5 is not how much they charge for it. That's profit. Profit they made in the first fucking quarter. And guys, by the way, remember the government gave you that vaccine for free, right? So that $3.5 billion was a gift from the U.S. taxpayers to Pfizer. Just remember that. Because the government gave you to free. Oh, thank you, free medical. Oh, my God. Our government's giving us social health care, free fucking vaccines. Hey, motherfucker, you paid for that. No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. Maybe not today, but next year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, your kids, grandkids, they fucking paid for it. Because you're a fucking socialist idiot. because you don't understand mathematics, you don't understand economics, you don't understand how government fucking operates. $3.5 billion of profit in the first quarter, courtesy of the U.S. taxpayer. It is time to dismantle the pharmaceutical coalitions. They are just as bad and owned and operated by the big conglomerates that own big tech. This whole corporatocracy, this whole infrastructure needs to go. It's the only way we're going to save our planet. The only way we're going to save our civilization. General Daniel Hawkinson, the chief of the National Guard Bureau, said today that the Space National Guard could potentially be launching soon.
Weird.
Space National Guard. Now, that's interesting because you have Army, Marine Corps, Navy, and Air Force National Guard, but the National Guard is a state-run militia organization. And so it's kind of interesting that they're going to have a Space Force National Guard. Interesting. Everything is coming out about Bill and Melinda Gates, including all their financial disclosure, and it could be the end of Bill Gates' secretive rural farm buying and his farmland buy-up. I don't know the play on this. I don't know what's going on with Melinda. I don't know her play on it. I don't know if potentially a sealed indictment was revealed, potentially against Bill Gates. Possibility. And she's getting the hell out of Dodge. Now, Jay, did you see this picture of the Bidens and Carters?
Yeah.
Now, I fucking shit you not, okay?
I felt like I was watching a part of Elf, and this was a cut from Elf. Right?
So
and
I shit you not, guys. Like, if you look at the two giants and the big head, and this just looks odd. Okay, but listen to this, right? Ready?
Are you showing this?
I'm showing this right now. A wide-angle lens in a tight space is the possible explanation for the outcome of the Biden's photo with the Carters, photographers say. You got to be fucking kidding me. Got to be fucking kidding. This is just absurd. They think you're fucking stupid.
Look at Mrs. Carter. Looks like she's one of those puppets that you put your hand up the back.
It is. Joe Biden's hands up her ass. And they just glued a head on her. And look at how big Jill is in comparison to freaking Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
Dude,
so
we found the fucking giants.
Yeah, the one thing I did think is when you look at the side with Biden and her, that it could be camera angle. But when you look at the side of Jill is perpendicular, she's perpendicular and parallel with him, meaning they're at the same distance. She's right next to him. And so she still looks massive to Jimmy Carter. So there's no way.
Do you remember that video with Barack Obama and Oprah?
No.
Where Oprah's in this room and it's got the fireplace right there. Hold on. Let me pull this up. Because this is what we're seeing right here. And they, for some reason, don't want to fucking admit it.
It's hilarious.
Obama, Oprah interview screen. There it is. And so, Jay, if you search this, you should find it. But basically, this was Barack Obama and Oprah. And Barack Obama was behind a green screen, and Oprah was actually in her living room. And the way it looked like is that they were right there together next to each other. This is what you just saw right here. This is a green screen. This is Joe Biden and Jill Biden. I mean, look how big Jimmy Carter's feet look. Nothing in this even makes any sense. They're like in a small, tiny house.
This is so fucking funny.
But like Jill's thigh is as big as Jimmy Carter's upper torso. Like, it just, guys, this is a green screen photograph that they don't want you to know is a green screen photograph. That's all it comes down to. And the question you have to ask yourself is, why don't they care to tell you that it's a green screen photograph? Why is it so important to hide from you and tell you that, oh, well, a wide-angle lens in a tight space is the possible explanation for this? You got to be fucking kidding me. No, it's not. And I'm wondering what the comments look like. I haven't even read any of the comments. There you go, yep. So people are like, the Biden to Photoshop. Why? What's the question? It's a bizarre angle, but it still doesn't negate the fact that Joe's visit pays tribute to... whatever. People are just fucking accepting it. I have no idea what the different lenses can do, but that doesn't seem right. And... what's he... oh, he's showing the elongated ankle in the background of Joe Biden. So they're showing the elongated ankle, the massive foot, the size of the footrest here in this picture. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's a green screen picture of them sitting with the Carters. That's exactly what it is. And for some reason, they don't want you to know that. It's like they're fucking just taunting us, you know? Like, ha ha, ha ha. You can't catch us. Ha ha. We won. So, Derek Chauvin's attorney today. We know Derek Chauvin was convicted of murder last week of George Floyd. And so Derek Chauvin's attorney today files a motion asking for a new trial. And I believe they're actually calling for a mistrial. Now, why would he be filing for mistrial?
Because of what Maxine Waters said.
Well, actually, Jay, Derek Chauvin juror lied. Picture emerges of the juror at the BLM rally wearing "Get your knees off of our necks" t-shirt, despite telling the court he had never been at a protest.
Oh, look at that.
Juror number 56.
Pants on fire.
And I guarantee you there's more jurors that are going to be coming out exactly like this. So, guess what? This is a mistrial. Derek Chauvin will be found not guilty because of this. 100% mistrial. There it is. Sad state of affairs. All right. If you have a pension, I want you to listen up. If you have a state pension or anything of this nature. Now, I caught this on Glenn Beck earlier today. I went and looked it up, and 100% true is... some of the wealthiest hedge funds on this planet have assets under management, which are basically held by Chicago, New York, and federal pension plans. We all know this. Teachers' pensions, the union pensions, all these things, right? Now, little did we know, something just happened. And the Fed has authorized, for the first time in history... Now, we got to remember, Jay, do you know what quantitative easing is?
No. Not. Okay. I mean, I do, but I don't. Okay, I don't know enough to say it. 2007 to 2008, the housing market crash began to happen. Okay? So the Federal Reserve, i.e. our government, borrowed the money from the Fed and went out and bought all this junk debt. Mm-hmm. It's basically what it means. Okay? Oh, yeah.
So quantitative ease means we go out and buy all this junk debt, and then we give it to the taxpayers and say, hey, there you go. Here's a shit asset for you that's going to actually be worthless. And so... yeah.
So pre, 2008, we owned, 200 billion worth of
correct.
junk
But
bonds.
in order to have that happen, is bond sales need to occur. So in order to raise the money to do that, you have to sell bonds. Now, the problem with bonds is they're very low interest rate. Right now, bonds are going for about 1%. So that's 3 to 5% under inflation. Inflation's at 4 to 6%. So a bond giving you 1% a year is worthless, right? Mm-hmm. And so basically when you're buying these bonds, you're buying this junk debt because basically you're funding the quantitative easing of the government going out and buying all this junk debt. Portfolio managers and hedge fund managers have been ordered by the Federal Reserve under, you remember the Defense Authorization Act that Trump enacted? Allowed the Fed, the Secretary of Treasury to actually have certain powers of authorization. Well, guess what? They signed it into order. And one of these authorizations that they signed into order under this declaration was that these pension plans have to start converting, selling off their assets, stocks, equities, and start purchasing bonds.
So in other words, your money is not your money.
In other words, they just hijacked trillions of dollars of American union workers, federal pensions, and state pensions money through federal declaration. Okay? Yes, they just took your fucking money. I'm not lying. Go look it up yourself. And what they're doing is they're selling off all of your assets in your pension funds, and they're going to distribute it on a 60-40 portfolio basis, which means that 40% of your equities are going to be sold off and bought into bonds at 1%, which are fucking worthless because they're based upon the dollar, which is buying up nothing but junk debt to save Wall Street's fucking ass.
Yeah. Well, it's more like it's kind of both of them. But this also, Glenn Beck said today that this also means your savings account, your checking account. These are considered to be assets by the Federal Reserve. Mm-hmm. And that they can take your money anytime they want because it's not your fucking money.
That's right.
Let that sink in.
Now here's the thing is they're able to do this because the pensions are backed by something similar to the FDIC, right? So this is backed by the federal government, which means that if your pension loses its value, it's okay because the government's going to back it up. The same way they did with Social Security. So let's think about this. Who approved this? Roxy asked who approved this. The reinitiation of the Defense Authorization Act, basically for COVID, emergency COVID funding, is what caused this to happen. It allows the Secretary of Treasury and the Fed chairman to do these types of initiations and basically seize that money without your fucking consent. Because here's the other thing. You can't take that pension money out. It's locked up. Biden approved this, if you want to know who approved it.
Yeah. Here we go again.
No, it's, you know what? You're saying it's your money, but that's what I've been telling everybody all along.
It's never your money.
It's never your money. And so Glenn Beck, in this same statement, in the same little clip that he put out there, he says, I have a dire warning for you, and I'm not going to lie to you. He goes, it is time to start cashing out. It is time to start buying physical assets. Used cars, buy them, because there's a shortage of used cars right now. He said, go out and buy a little bit of gold and silver. But he said, most of all, what you need to buy, the number one commodity that you can buy right now is ammo. And so I went right after he said that and started looking at ammo prices. My jaw almost fucking dropped.
Why, skyrocketing?
Oh my fucking goodness. But go stock up on ammo. He said stock up on chocolate. Stock up on perishables. Things that you can fit in your pantry, on your shelf, because these are going to be tradable commodities. Coffee, cigarettes. These things are barter and trade. Oh, I agree, Gertie. It's time to call the ball, and somebody big needs to call the ball. Because this is getting beyond ridiculous. And I told you that this is going to come with a firestorm. And what I mean by that is one event is going to trigger a cascade of events. We're going to see probably most likely a false flag event that is going to cascade into a infrastructure collapse. That infrastructure collapse is going to cause communication errors around the country. These communication errors are going to cause a grid collapse. That's going to be happening at the same time of an economic collapse. That's going to happen at the same time as war breaking out around the world. And this is all going to cascade upon everybody. And people are going to be confused, poor, and not know what to do. And that's when they fucking attack. That's when they come after you, me, and our sovereignty, our guns, and everything else. I hope it's not coming. I hope that patriots are fucking in control. I hope that people in the know, people who understand this, people who have the ability to call the ball, stand the fuck up for what's right and do the right thing and give us fair warning, or are in the process of doing things to stop this from happening. But this is their narrative, and this is what they're doing. This is what they did in Venezuela. This is what they did in 1940s and 50s China and Southeast Asia. This is what they did in Nazi Germany in the 1920s, in the 1930s, how the Nazi Party seized control, the National Socialist Party seized control. They created fictitious, basically, traumas or crises, and they came in with the solutions. And this is exactly what they're doing now. Now, think about it. If you're dirt poor, you have no income, nobody's hiring, your jobs are laying people off, there are no supply chains, no skilled labor is hiring, McDonald's is not getting any business, nobody's hiring. The only people that are hiring or have jobs available are the military and the police officer. That's because they have to keep crowd control from pissed off citizens. That means that the government has to appease you with something, and that is social welfare. And that means that socialism rolls in wealthily and gleefully accepted by the majority of people who are fucking suffering. But in order to do that, they're going to do a gun buyback program. And if you don't buy back your guns, it's going to be the same thing as gold and silver. If you don't give us your gold and silver, if you don't give us your gold and silver and put it up, we are going to come into your house and we are going to fucking take it. Because that's what tyrannical and oppressive governments do. And guess what, guys? They're going to come for your gold and silver just as well as they're going to come for your ammo and your fucking guns. Not only that, they're probably going to come for your food, your coffee, your chocolate, and everything else. Because that's what they do. This is who we're dealing with. We are dealing with the evil of the fucking evil. We are dealing with fucking third generation Nazis, the rise of the fourth fucking Reich, right here in the United States of America. And guess what? They've already integrated into Canada. They're already over in Europe, all throughout it. Look at France, look at Italy, look at UK, look at it all. It's fucking there. They're headquartered out of China. Their secret services, their secret intelligence groups are run out of Venezuela and Iran. They answer to nobody but the powerful elite.
And they blindsided you because you were too busy watching your gladiators in Hollywood. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Sports, Hollywood movies, the gossip channels, you know, the newest fashion trends, the newest apps. These things all kept us complacent.
Now someone's asking there, is it time to call the ball? And I think they understand what I mean by that. That's not my job to do. And I'm not the type of person that would call that ball. That's the job of Donald Trump. That's why we elected Donald Trump for 4 years and another 4 years after that, right? That is his job. That's why we have people like General Michael Flynn. It's their job to call that ball. And are we at that precipice? Are we at that tipping point? Are we at the apex of disquietude? I don't think we've even started. It hasn't even begun yet. This is just what we see happening. This is just what we see coming. We see, just like a woman giving birth, we know it's coming. We're in labor. We feel the contractions, but we have to go through the process. We have to go through it all. Because you can't tell the people. You can't stand up on a soapbox and yell to the people and say, hey, this is tyranny, this is oppression. Hey, they're stealing your wealth. People, well, whatever. Well, my government loves me. They're going to do the best for me.
They would never do that.
They would never do that. My government, they love me. They have my best interest in mind. That's what I voted for. See, people don't listen. People don't fucking listen to you. They listen to the media. They listen to the psychological warfare campaign that's going on outside of them. That moves them emotionally. That drives them psychologically. That's what they listen to. Okay? And see, those people can't be told what's going to happen. They have to witness it with their own eyes. And yes, more and more are waking up. Every day, more and more are waking up. And that's why the importance of shows like this, to wake people up. Because I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your ass. Oh, Trump and the Patriots, they're in control. Because you know what? As I see it, I hope that's the case. But as I see it, I see some good people that have the ability to do good things. I see a lot of good and powerful people that have the ability to call things as they are, but I'm not hearing it. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the moves that I think should be made. And so I'm not going to blow smoke up anybody's ass here. And I'm not about doom and gloom. It's only Tuesday. We usually get about that about Thursday. Okay? But see, all of this rests on you and me. James Madison, Federalist 46. Disquietude and civil disobedience. We're already in the process of it. We just need a platform for dissemination and distribution that cannot be targeted by big tech. If we have that, we are golden, and we can call the ball on disquietude and civil disobedience. When I call for civil disobedience, I don't mean violent upheaval. I don't mean revolution, violent revolution, or anything of that nature. I call for civil disobedience in tax protests, tax strikes, worker strikes, boycotting. This is what I mean. So do not take my words. Strew it in another way, YouTube or anybody else out there. But we need the ability to disseminate and distribute that information. And we don't have that because the moment we start that now, we will be shut down. And so, yeah, it's in the process. It's happening. There's many volunteers out there. There's a lot of people who've already reached out to me. And guess what? We're ready. And we'll begin it when we have that. And Trump just said it's coming. And Jesse James says it's not a time to rest and assume that we got this. Absolutely, it's not a time to rest and assume that anybody's got this. I'm not going to sit here and believe that anybody is in control of this situation. But the enemy, they know who the fuck's in control of the situation. The enemy is controlling the situation because that is what we see. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe that is part of it. Maybe that is the whole narrative that's being played out by the Patriots and Q team. Maybe it is. I don't know. But you know what? I can't bank on that. I understand faith in the sense of something I can actually trust in, something that I believe in within myself that I've actually experienced. I cannot have blind faith. I cannot have this blindness that someone else is going to come down and save me, because you know what? Throughout my whole life, I have yet to experience that. God doesn't work that way. God works through you and me. If God's going to save us, he's going to work through us to save us. And that's happening right now. That's happening with my words. That's happening with your words. That's happening with how you communicate with everybody else around you. And that's the stand that we need to make now. We need to open people's eyes to them. We need to point out the obvious. It's an interesting time to be alive.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking about it the other day. If you didn't notice, or you have noticed, New York lost a seat in the Senate, right?
Yeah.
California. So that means that the census numbers are pretty darn accurate. And if the census numbers don't match up to the voting numbers, could be a big problem there.
That's right. I never even looked at the comparison of that in the sense of the census numbers and the voters and the representation of the districts as per the actual turnouts.
But I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, man, I wonder if anybody's run those numbers yet, because numbers don't lie.
That's right. I mean, that's an interesting. That's interesting. Census, 2020 census data. Yeah, that's an interesting one. We're gonna have to take a look at. If anybody wants to delve into that and look at the census data and look at actually the voter information. Did they look at that? That's what I'm curious about. Census for spot, rate map, quick facts. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Let's just look at voter. But yeah, it's just time to stop being silent about this shit. And here's the thing, is who do you have to be loud to? Local and state governments, because they're the ones that can make the difference. Your local and your state governments are the ones who can make a difference. And if they don't listen to you, recall their asses. Get that recall petition out. Not hard. Pretty easy. And if you live in a very liberal area, maybe it's time to move and go to somewhere where it's more conservative. I don't know, man. Sometimes I hope I'm just wrong. Sometimes I hope I just got it all wrong and I'm way off. Seriously, I do. I just hope that I'm wrong and I got it way off.
Yeah. Sometimes I hope you're wrong too. I'm at this point where it's just like, F it. Throw it all in.
Mm-hmm. Man. But I'll tell you, you know what? In the United States of America today, I'll tell you one thing that's alive and well, and that's patriotism. That's patriotic, Constitution-loving Americans. They're all over, everywhere. And guess what, guys? We outnumber them 10-1. We know we do. We know that Trump got over 100 million votes in this last election. We know it. Which means that Joe Biden probably got less than 30 million. Legitimate votes.
Right.
And that just means that there's 30 million dumb motherfuckers in this country who are controlled and manipulated through psychological warfare and media propaganda. Well, guess what? The majority of them already got the vaccine. I don't know what to say about that. But they might not be joining us for the next election if our assumptions on the vaccine are true.
You might have to clean out your friends list on Facebook.
That's right. They might all go to memorials. Yeah.
That ain't right. That ain't right.
Yeah, Nicole said OAN released an audit of the ballot thing today. Nicole, if you can go on the social Red Pill and share that would be awesome. It'd be much appreciated. But hey guys, that was it's an interesting time to be alive. It's an interesting time to see all this unfolding in the world, in America, in everything that's happening. Just want to know that I appreciate you. I've been injured this week, and everybody gave me a lot of love and a lot of prayers, and so thank you guys. If you are able to support us, don't forget www.socialredpill.com. There are subscriptions available, and it also is a free platform. As well as if you are looking to support us at just a one-time thing, if you go to the description box below in any of the platforms, there are multiple ways, including cryptocurrency, and so you can support us that way. But other than that, that's all we have for you tonight. We'll see you tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Much love, respect, God bless, take care. Talk to you here later.